The gunshot that shattered Victor Kim's crystal glasses should have ended with the most powerful Mafia boss in Chicago bleeding out on his VIP room floor. But Maya, the invisible housekeeper he'd never once looked at, grabbed a fire extinguisher and plunged the room into darkness, giving him 3 seconds to escape through the window before 6 assassins could finish the job. Now they're running through back alleys together, Victor's blood staining her hands and his enemies hunting them both, and the cold Korean crime lord who treated her like furniture is gripping her wrist like she's the only thing keeping him alive. What started as one impulsive act of courage has bound Maya to the most dangerous man in the city, and when Victor pulls her onto his motorcycle and whispers, "Don't let go," she realizes the terrifying truth. She just made herself his responsibility, his obsession, and the one weakness his enemies will use to destroy him. By the way, family, if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, you can join as a member or send a super thanks. Totally optional. Your support helps me post more for you. The gunshot shattered the crystal glasses on Victor Kim's private bar. Maya froze in the hallway outside the VIP room, her cleaning cart rattling as another bullet tore through the mahogany door. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She should run. Every instinct screamed at her to flee down the back stairs and pretend she heard nothing. But through the splintered wood, she saw him. Victor Kim, the man who had never once looked at her in the 6 months she'd worked at his Chicago nightclub. The man whose icy silence made her hands shake every time she entered a room to clean. The man who was about to die. 6 armed men surrounded him in the smoke-filled VIP room. Victor's back pressed against the floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the glittering city. His perfectly tailored black suit was torn at the shoulder. Blood dripped from a cut above his eye. But even cornered and outnumbered, he stood tall with his jaw clenched and his dark eyes blazing with fury rather than fear. "Did you really think you could betray Raymond Shaw and live?" The tallest attacker growled, raising his gun. Victor's lips curved into something cold and cruel. "I think you'll be dead before you pull that trigger." The man laughed. His 5 companions joined in, their weapons gleaming under the chandelier's light. Maya's breath caught. Victor had no gun, no weapon, no way out. In seconds, they would kill him. Her hands moved before her mind could stop them. She grabbed the fire extinguisher from her cart and slammed it against the control panel beside the door. The room plunged into darkness as every light cut out. Chaos erupted, men shouted, feet scrambled. Maya threw the door open and screamed into the blackness. "The window! Behind you!" She didn't know if Victor heard her. She didn't know if he would listen to the invisible housekeeper he treated like furniture. But a heartbeat later, glass exploded outward. Maya's eyes adjusted to see Victor's silhouette disappearing through the shattered window onto the emergency balcony she'd found weeks ago while cleaning the outside ledges. "Find him!" the tall man roared. "Check every exit!" The attackers rushed toward the window and the main door. Maya pressed herself against the hallway wall, her chest heaving. She should leave now. She should go home to her tiny apartment and forget this night ever happened. Victor Kim was dangerous. Everyone whispered about the powerful empire he controlled, the enemies who feared him, the cold heart that felt nothing for anyone. But her feet carried her toward the service corridor instead, toward the hidden door behind the old storage shelves, the door that led to the forgotten stairwell she'd discovered 2 months ago when searching for extra cleaning supplies, the door that might give Victor a way out if he was smart enough to find the balcony's connection to the old fire escape. Maya's fingers fumbled with the lock. The sounds of shouting and breaking furniture echoed through the walls. Her whole body trembled as she finally got the door open, and slipped into the dusty stairwell. Dim emergency lights flickered overhead. She ran down 2 flights, her shoes silent on the concrete steps, until she reached the ground-level exit that opened into the alley behind the nightclub. Cold November air bit at her skin as she pushed outside. The alley was empty, except for overflowing dumpsters and scattered trash. Maya's breath came out in white puffs. Maybe Victor hadn't made it. Maybe she'd risked everything for nothing. Then she saw movement in the shadows. Victor emerged from behind a dumpster, his tall frame somehow still commanding, even covered in dust and blood. His eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that made her knees weak. For the first time in 6 months, he truly saw her, not as furniture, not as someone beneath his notice, but as a person who held his life in her hands. You. His deep voice cut through the night air, rough and breathless. Why? Maya's throat tightened. Up close, she noticed things she'd never let herself see before. The sharp angle of his jaw, the way his broad shoulders filled his ruined suit jacket. The dangerous beauty in his face that had nothing to do with kindness and everything to do with power. Heat crept up her neck despite the freezing air. "They were going to kill you," she whispered. "I've never spoken to you. Never even learned your name." Victor took a step closer. Blood still dripped from the cut above his eye, trailing down his temple. Something flickered in his expression that looked almost like confusion. "Why would you risk yourself for me?" Because beneath all his coldness, Maya had glimpsed moments of something else. The way he stayed late after closing, sitting alone in his office with tired eyes. The way his jaw tightened when his business partners spoke cruelly to the staff. The way he looked at the city through his window, like a man trapped in a cage of his own making, but she couldn't say any of that. Not to Victor Kim, who trusted no one and needed no one, because it was the right thing to do, Maya said instead. Victor's eyes narrowed. He studied her face like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. The space between them felt charged with something Maya didn't understand, something that made her pulse race and her skin feel too warm despite the cold. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. "Maya. Maya Chen." "Maya?" He said it slowly, like tasting something new. Then his expression hardened back into ice. "Those men will search everywhere. They'll check security footage. They'll see you helping me. You've made yourself a target." Fear spiked through Maya's chest. She hadn't thought about that. She'd only thought about saving him. "Then I should go." She turned toward the alley's entrance, her hands shaking. "I'll catch a bus home and pretend I was never here." Victor's hand caught her wrist. His grip was firm, but strangely gentle. Heat radiated from his palm into her skin, sending tingles up her arm. Maya's breath hitched as he pulled her back around to face him. "You think they'll let you pretend?" His voice dropped lower, almost intimate despite the harsh words. "You think Raymond Shaw's men will shrug and move on? The moment they identify you, you're dead." Maya's stomach twisted. Her small apartment across town suddenly felt 1,000,000 miles away. Her quiet life of working multiple jobs and sending money back to her mother in Jamaica seemed like a dream from another world. "What do I do?" The question came out smaller than she intended. Victor's jaw clenched. Something warred behind his eyes, emotions Maya couldn't read. His thumb absently stroked the inside of her wrist where her pulse hammered wildly. The touch felt accidental, almost unconscious, but it set her nerves on fire. "You come with me," he finally said. "I have a safe place, somewhere no one knows about. We hide until my people can handle this." "We?" Maya's eyes widened. "You want me to hide with you?" "You saved my life, Maya Chen." The way he said her name made something flutter in her chest. That means you're my responsibility now. I don't let people die for me. Before Maya could respond, the alley's entrance blazed with light. Car engines roared. Victor's hand tightened on her wrist as he pulled her deeper into the shadows. Move, now. They ran together through the maze of back alleys, Victor's hand never leaving hers. Maya's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst. Behind them, angry voices shouted orders. Footsteps echoed off brick walls. She'd never run from danger like this, never felt so alive and terrified all at once. Victor led them to a black motorcycle hidden behind an abandoned building. He swung onto it with practiced ease, then looked back at Maya with those intense dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her. Get on, hold tight, don't let go. Maya climbed on behind him, her arms wrapping around his waist, the hard planes of his stomach pressed against her palms through his shirt. His scent surrounded her, expensive cologne mixed with sweat and something uniquely him. Her cheek rested against his broad back as the motorcycle roared to life. They shot forward into the Chicago night, leaving the shouting men and the nightclub behind. Maya held on to Victor Kim like he was the only solid thing in a spinning world, and as the city lights blurred past them, she realized nothing would ever be the same again. She'd saved the most dangerous man in Chicago, and now they were bound together in ways she couldn't begin to understand. The Philadelphia safe house was nothing like Maya expected. She'd imagined something cold and empty, like Victor himself. Instead, the downtown apartment glowed with warm lighting and rich furniture. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city's twinkling lights. A fully stocked kitchen gleamed with marble counters. The space felt expensive, but strangely lonely, like a beautiful cage no one had lived in for years. There's one bedroom, Victor said, his voice flat as he locked 3 separate deadbolts on the door. You take it, I'll sleep on the couch. Maya turned to look at him. Dawn light filtered through the windows, highlighting the dried blood still streaking his face and the torn shoulder of his suit. They'd ridden for hours through the night, stopping only once for Victor to make a brief phone call to someone named Derek, who apparently handled his security. You're hurt, Maya said softly. Let me at least clean that cut before you rest. I'm fine. You're bleeding on your expensive floor. Victor's eyes snapped to hers, sharp and cold. For a moment, Maya's courage wavered. This was the man everyone feared, the man whose silence could make grown adults sweat. But she'd already risked her life for him. Being afraid now seemed pointless. Sit, she said, pointing to the leather couch. I'll find a first aid kit. Something flickered across Victor's face. Surprise, maybe. No one spoke to him like that. No one gave him orders. But after a long moment, he moved to the couch and sat with his jaw clenched tight. Maya found medical supplies in the bathroom cabinet. Her hands shook slightly as she returned with cotton pads, antiseptic, and bandages. She'd never been this close to Victor by choice, never stood between his knees as he sat before her, his dark eyes watching her every movement. This might sting, she whispered. She dabbed at the cut above his eyebrow. Victor didn't flinch, but his hands gripped his knees. Maya bit her lip, concentrating on being gentle. His skin felt warm under her fingertips. His breath ghosted across her wrist. The intimacy of the moment made her heart race. Why aren't you afraid of me? Victor asked suddenly. Maya paused, the cotton pad still pressed to his temple. Should I be? Everyone else is. Maybe that's because you want them to be. Maya resumed cleaning the wound. Fear keeps people away, keeps them from getting close, keeps you safe. Victor's eyes darkened. You think you understand me after one night? I think you're more than what you show the world. Maya set down the bloody cotton and picked up a fresh pad. I've watched you for 6 months, Victor. You think I was invisible, but I saw things. The way you pay your staff more than any other club in Chicago. The way you personally fire anyone who treats the workers badly. The way you stare out your window like you're searching for something you lost. His hand shot up and caught her wrist. Not roughly, but firm enough to stop her movements. Maya's breath caught as Victor rose to his feet, suddenly towering over her. The space between them disappeared. She could count his eyelashes, could see the gold flecks in his dark brown eyes, could feel the heat radiating from his body. "Don't," he said, his voice rough. "Don't try to find good in me, Maya. There isn't any." "Then why did you bring me here instead of leaving me in that alley?" Maya's voice came out breathier than she intended. "Why are you protecting me?" Victor's jaw worked. His thumb traced the inside of her wrist again. That same unconscious gesture from before. The touch sent electricity straight to Maya's core. She knew she should step back, should put distance between them. But her feet stayed planted. "Because you saved me," Victor finally said, "and I pay my debts." He released her wrist and walked away toward the bedroom, leaving Maya standing there with her pulse racing and her skin tingling where he'd touched her. The first 3 days were torture. Victor barely spoke, except to take phone calls in hushed, angry tones. He worked on his laptop for hours, his handsome face set in harsh lines. He moved through the apartment like a caged wolf, all contained power and dangerous grace. Maya tried to give him space, but the apartment wasn't that large. They orbited each other, always aware, always watching from the corners of their eyes. Maya cooked meals that Victor barely touched. She read books from the shelf while Victor paced. She tried to sleep while knowing he was just outside her door, stretched out on the couch in the darkness. The awareness between them grew thicker each day, heavy and unspoken. On the 4th morning, Maya found Victor in the kitchen, attempting to make coffee. He stood there, scowling at the machine like it had personally offended him. "You have to add water to the reservoir," Maya said, fighting back a smile. Victor's scowl deepened. "I know that." "Do you? Because you've been pressing buttons for 5 minutes with an empty tank." She moved past him, close enough that her arm brushed his. Victor went very still. Maya pretended not to notice as she filled the reservoir and measured out grounds. She hummed softly while she worked, an old song her mother used to sing. "What is that?" Victor asked. "What's what?" "That sound. You're always humming." Maya glanced at him. He was watching her with an intensity that made her skin warm. "It's just a song. It helps me think. It's distracting. Then go brood somewhere else." The words slipped out before Maya could stop them. She winced, expecting anger. Instead, Victor's lips twitched, just barely, almost invisible, but Maya saw it. The tiniest hint of a smile before his expression locked back into ice. "Careful, Maya Chen," he said softly. "I'm not used to people being so bold with me. Maybe that's your problem." Maya poured 2 cups of coffee as the machine finished brewing. She handed him one. "Everyone's so busy being scared that no one's honest with you." Their fingers brushed as Victor took the cup. The contact lasted a second too long. Heat sparked between them, undeniable and dangerous. Victor's eyes dropped to Maya's lips before snapping back up. The air felt thick enough to touch. "You think you can be honest with me?" His voice had gone lower, almost intimate. "I just am." Maya's heart hammered. "I don't know how to be anything else." Victor stared at her for a long moment. Then he took his coffee and walked away, leaving Maya leaning against the counter with trembling hands and a racing pulse. After that, something shifted. Victor started joining her for meals. They didn't talk much at first, but the silence felt less hostile. Maya caught him watching her sometimes, his expression unreadable but no longer cold. She learned that he took his coffee black, hated mornings, and had a habit of running his hand through his hair when he was frustrated. On the 8th night, Maya woke to sounds from the living room. She padded out in her oversized sleep shirt to find Victor shirtless on the couch, trying to reach a wound on his shoulder blade. The cut had reopened, blood seeping through his fingers as he twisted awkwardly. "Stop," Maya said, hurrying over. "You're making it worse. I can handle it." "Victor, please." She knelt on the couch beside him. "Just let me help." He went still. Then, slowly, he dropped his hands. Maya's breath caught at the sight of his bare back. Smooth skin stretched over hard muscle. Old scars she hadn't noticed before marked his shoulders and ribs, evidence of a violent life she could only imagine. Her fingers trembled as she cleaned the wound. Victor's breath hitched when the antiseptic touched raw skin. Without thinking, Maya placed her free hand on his other shoulder, offering comfort. His muscle jumped under her palm. "How did you get all these scars?" she asked softly. "Growing up the way I did, you either get tough or you die." Victor's voice sounded different in the dim light, more human. "My father believed strength came from pain. He made sure I learned that lesson early." Maya's chest ached. She pressed the bandage gently over the wound, then let her hand linger on his warm skin. "That's why you don't let anyone close, because closeness meant pain." Victor turned his head, looking at her over his shoulder. Their faces were inches apart. Maya could see the vulnerability he'd tried so hard to hide, the loneliness etched into every hard line of his beautiful face. "You should be afraid of me," he whispered. "I know." Maya's hand moved from his shoulder to his jaw, her thumb brushing his cheek. "But I'm not." Victor's hand came up to cover hers. His eyes searched her face like he was memorizing every detail. The moment stretched between them, heavy with possibility. Maya's lips parted. Victor's gaze dropped to her mouth. The air crackled with tension. Then Victor stood abruptly, breaking the contact. "You should go back to bed." Maya's hand fell to her lap, cold where his warmth had been. "Victor." "Good night, Maya." He walked to the window and stood with his back to her, his shoulders rigid, dismissed. Maya returned to the bedroom with her heart pounding and her skin still tingling from touching him. Through the closed door, she heard Victor release a shaky breath, and for the first time, Maya wondered if he was fighting the same battle she was, if the dangerous attraction between them scared him as much as it thrilled her. 2 more days passed in delicious torture. Every accidental touch felt electric. Every shared glance lasted too long. Victor started smiling more, just tiny hints that transformed his face into something breathtaking. He asked about her life, her family in Jamaica, her dreams, and Maya saw glimpses of the man beneath the monster everyone feared. On the 11th night, everything changed. Rain drummed against the Philadelphia windows like 1,000 tiny fingers tapping for entry. Maya curled up on the couch with a mug of tea, watching the storm paint the city in shades of grey. 11 days of hiding with Victor had felt like living in a different world, a world where the cold Mafia king slowly became just a man, a complicated, damaged, breathtaking man who made her heart race every time he entered a room. "You're thinking too loud," Victor said from the kitchen doorway. Maya glanced over her shoulder. He wore a simple black shirt and dark jeans, his hair slightly messy from running his hands through it. The casual look made him seem younger, more approachable, more dangerous to her carefully guarded heart. "I was thinking about rain," Maya said. "How it sounds different here than back home in Jamaica." Victor moved to sit beside her, closer than usual. His thigh almost touched hers. "Tell me about home." What do you want to know? Everything. His dark eyes met hers with an intensity that stole her breath. I want to know everything about you, Maya. Heat crept up Maya's neck. Over the past few days, Victor had asked her dozens of questions. Where she grew up, what made her laugh, why she came to America. Each question felt like him peeling back her layers, trying to understand what made her tick. And strangely, Maya wanted him to know her, all of her. I grew up in a tiny village outside Kingston, Maya began, her fingers wrapped around the warm mug. My mum raised me alone after my dad died when I was 7. We didn't have much, but she made sure I had everything I needed. She worked 3 jobs so I could go to school. Victor listened without interrupting, his full attention on her in a way that made Maya feel like the only person in the world. When I turned 20, I knew I had to leave. Not because I wanted to, but because staying meant watching my mum work herself to death. I thought if I came to America, I could make enough money to send home, enough so she could finally rest. Do you miss it? Victor asked softly. Every single day, Maya smiled sadly, but I made a promise to give her a better life. So I clean offices at night, work at your club in the evenings, and do laundry on weekends. 3 jobs, just like she had. Except now she doesn't have to. Victor's jaw tightened. You work 3 jobs. Worked. Past tense. Maya laughed without humour. I'm guessing my boss won't take me back after disappearing for 2 weeks. I'm your boss. You never acted like it. Maya set down her mug and turned to face him fully. You never even looked at me before that night. Something pained crossed Victor's face. I looked. I just couldn't let myself see. Why not? Because seeing you would mean acknowledging you, and acknowledging you would make you real. Victor's hand lifted, hovering near her face, like he wanted to touch but didn't dare. In my world, Maya, the people I notice become targets. I've spent my whole life keeping everyone at a distance to protect them from the darkness that follows me. Maya's heart squeezed. That sounds lonely. It is. Victor's hand finally made contact, his fingers brushing her cheek so gently it felt like a whisper. But loneliness is safer than loss. Is that what your father taught you? Victor's expression hardened. His hand dropped away, and Maya immediately missed the warmth. She'd hit a nerve. Over the past days, Victor had shared pieces of his childhood in brief, bitter sentences. A father who ruled with fists and fear, a mother who disappeared when he was young, a life where love was a weapon used to hurt rather than heal. My father taught me that caring about people makes you weak, Victor said, his voice rough. He showed me what happens when you let your guard down, when you trust, when you love. What happens? You get destroyed. Victor stood abruptly and walked to the window, his back rigid. Rain streaked down the glass, distorting the city lights beyond. My father loved my mother more than anything. When she left him, it broke something inside him. He became cruel, violent. He took his pain out on everyone around him, especially me. He said he was making me stronger, making sure I'd never be weak enough to love anyone. Maya rose and moved to stand behind him. She could see his reflection in the window, the hard set of his jaw, the ghosts swimming in his eyes. Without thinking, she placed her hand on his back, right between his shoulder blades. Victor's entire body tensed. Your father was wrong, Maya said firmly. Love isn't weakness. Walking away from it is. Hiding from it is. Being too afraid to try is. Victor turned slowly. Maya's hand slid around to his chest as he faced her. She could feel his heart pounding under her palm, racing just as fast as hers. You make it sound simple, he whispered. It is simple. We just make it complicated. Maya looked up at him, at the beautiful, broken man who'd somehow stolen her heart in 11 days. I see you, Victor. Not the scary Mafia king everyone fears. I see the man who checks on his employees' families when they're sick. The man who stays up until 3 in the morning working because he can't sleep. The man who pretends he doesn't notice when I leave extra food for him because he forgets to eat. Maya? Her name came out like a prayer and a warning all at once. I see you, she repeated, and I'm not afraid. Victor's control shattered like glass. His hand cupped the back of her head, fingers tangling in her hair. His other hand gripped her waist, pulling her against him. Their bodies aligned perfectly, soft curves meeting hard planes. Maya's breath caught as Victor's forehead pressed against hers. You should be afraid. He breathed against her lips. Because once I kiss you, I won't be able to stop. Once I have you, I won't be able to let you go. Then don't. Maya rose on her toes, closing the final distance. Don't stop. Don't let go. Their lips met softly at first, testing and tentative. Victor kissed her like she was precious, like she might break. But Maya wanted more than gentle. She pressed closer, her arms wrapping around his neck, and kissed him deeper. Victor groaned into her mouth. The sound vibrated through Maya's entire body, lighting every nerve on fire. His kiss turned hungry, demanding. His tongue swept against hers, claiming and possessing. Maya had been kissed before, but never like this, never with such desperate need, like Victor was drowning and she was air. He walked her backward until her back hit the wall. His body pinned her there, strong and solid and overwhelming. Maya's hands roamed over his shoulders, his chest, feeling the hard muscle beneath his shirt. Victor's lips left hers to trail kisses down her jaw, her neck, the sensitive spot below her ear that made her gasp. Victor, she breathed, her fingers clutching his hair. Tell me to stop. His teeth grazed her collarbone. Tell me this is wrong and I'll walk away. Don't you dare walk away. Victor pulled back to look at her. His eyes had gone nearly black with desire, his chest heaving with ragged breaths. He looked wild and barely controlled, and Maya had never wanted anything more in her life than she wanted him in this moment. I need to hear you say it, Victor said, his voice strained. Say you want this. Want me. I want you. Maya cupped his face in her hands, making sure he saw the truth in her eyes. I've wanted you since the night you caught my wrist in that alley, since you looked at me like I mattered. I want all of you, Victor Kim, even the parts you think are too dark to love. Something in Victor's expression cracked open. For the first time since Maya met him, she saw him completely unguarded, vulnerable, human. I don't know how to be gentle, he admitted. I don't know how to be what you deserve. Then just be yourself. Maya pulled him back down for another kiss. Just be with me. Victor lifted her into his arms like she weighed nothing. Maya wrapped her legs around his waist as he carried her to the bedroom. He laid her on the bed with surprising tenderness, following her down until his body covered hers. The weight of him felt perfect, right in a way Maya couldn't explain. They took their time exploring each other in the storm-dimmed room. Victor's hands mapped every curve of Maya's body with reverent attention. He kissed her shoulders, her stomach, the inside of her wrists. Each touch felt like worship, like he was memorizing her through his fingertips. Maya discovered that Victor was ticklish on his ribs, that he sucked in a sharp breath when she kissed the scar on his shoulder, that he whispered her name like a prayer when she touched him. The cold, untouchable man melted under her hands, becoming warm and real and beautifully human. Look at me, Victor said when they finally came together. His hand cupped her face, thumb stroking her cheek. I want to see you. Maya met his eyes as they moved together in perfect rhythm. She saw everything he'd tried to hide, the loneliness, the longing, the desperate need to be seen and accepted, and she let him see everything in her too, the hope, the trust, the love she'd been trying not to feel. Later, Maya lay tangled in Victor's arms as rain continued its symphony outside. His fingers traced lazy patterns on her bare shoulder. His heartbeat drummed steadily beneath her ear. She'd never felt so safe, so cherished, so completely wrapped in someone else. "What are you thinking?" Maya asked softly. Victor was quiet for a long moment. Then he pressed a kiss to the top of her head. "I'm thinking that you've ruined me, Maya Chen. Ruined you. Made it impossible to go back to who I was before." His arms tightened around her. "Made me feel things I swore I'd never feel. Made me want things I have no right wanting." Maya tilted her head back to look at him. "What do you want?" Victor's thumb brushed across her lips. "You. Forever. Every morning waking up like this. Every night falling asleep with you in my arms. A life that's real, instead of just surviving." Tears pricked Maya's eyes. "That's what I want too, even knowing what I am, what I've done. I know who you are right now, in this moment." Maya placed her hand over his heart. "I know the man holding me. That's the man I want." Victor kissed her. Again, slow and deep and full of promises neither of them could speak yet. Outside, thunder rolled across the Philadelphia sky. But inside their hideaway, wrapped in each other, they'd found something neither expected. They'd found home. The photograph arrived at Victor's Miami mansion on a Tuesday morning. Maya saw it first when she went to the front gate to collect the mail. Her own face stared back at her from the glossy paper taken 3 days ago while she shopped for groceries at the market. Red marker circled her throat like a target. On the back, 2 words. "She's next." The photo slipped from Maya's trembling fingers. "Maya!" Victor appeared behind her, his hand immediately going to her waist. His entire body went rigid when he saw the picture lying face up on the marble floor. "Get inside, now!" His voice had gone cold and deadly, the voice of the man everyone feared, but his hand stayed gentle on Maya's back as he guided her through the massive front doors of his Miami home. They'd arrived 4 days ago, after Derek confirmed Philadelphia was compromised. Victor said Miami would be safer. He'd been wrong. "Pack a bag," Victor ordered, already pulling out his phone. "We're leaving in 20 minutes. No." Maya grabbed his wrist before he could dial. Running didn't work in Chicago. Hiding didn't work in Philadelphia. "When does it end, Victor?" "When they're all dead." His jaw clenched so hard Maya heard his teeth grind. "When everyone who even thinks about touching you is buried 6 feet under. That's not a life. That's just more hiding." Maya moved in front of him, forcing him to look at her. "You have power. You have connections. Use them. End this properly instead of running forever." Victor's eyes blazed with something dark and possessive. "You think I won't burn the entire world down to keep you safe? I will destroy anyone who threatens you, Maya, anyone." The fierce protectiveness in his voice sent shivers down Maya's spine. Since Philadelphia, Victor had been different. Softer with her, but harder toward everyone else. He touched her constantly, like he needed to confirm she was real and safe. He kept her close during meetings with his security team. He woke in the middle of the night just to watch her sleep, his hand resting over her heart. Maya had unlocked something in Victor that night in the storm, something primal and consuming that scared her as much as it thrilled her. "I know you'll protect me," Maya said softly, placing her hands on his chest. "But I need you to be smart about it. Please, Victor, handle this the right way." Victor stared at her for a long moment. Then he pulled her against him, his face buried in her hair. "The right way might not be fast enough, and I can't lose you, Maya. I can't." "You won't." Maya held him tighter, We're in this together, remember? Victor's phone buzzed. He answered it without letting Maya go, his arm locked around her waist like a vice. Derek, I need everything you have on it. Raymond Shaw's current location, and I need it in the next hour. Maya listened as Victor transformed into the powerful leader who commanded respect and fear. He gave orders in clipped sentences, his strategic mind working through problems at lightning speed, but his thumb never stopped stroking her hip, a constant reminder that even while handling business, she remained his focus. After the call ended, Victor tilted Maya's face up to his. Stay in the house today. Don't go near windows. Don't answer the door for anyone except Derek. Understand? Where are you going? To remind certain people why they should fear me. Victor kissed her hard and possessive. I'll be back before dark. And Maya? When I return, we're going to have a very long discussion about you following my security orders. Heat pooled in Maya's stomach at the promise in his voice. Is that a threat? Victor's lips curved into something dangerous and seductive. It's a guarantee. He left with 4 armed guards, leaving Maya in the sprawling mansion with Derek stationed outside her door. The house felt too empty without Victor's presence, too quiet. Maya tried to read, to watch television, to do anything but worry, but every sound made her jump. Every shadow seemed to hide danger. Evening arrived in shades of orange and pink across the Miami sky. Maya stood in Victor's office, staring at the city spread below like a glittering map. This room smelled like him, expensive cologne and something uniquely Victor. His desk held stacks of paperwork she wasn't supposed to see. His leather chair still bore the impression of his body. The door opened softly. Maya turned, expecting Derek. Instead, Victor filled the doorway, his white shirt stained with blood that definitely wasn't his. His knuckles were split and bruised, but his eyes burned with satisfaction. It's handled, he said simply. Maya ran to him. Victor caught her, lifting her clear off the ground. She wrapped her legs around his waist as he carried her to his desk, sweeping papers aside to set her on the smooth wood. His hands framed her face as he kissed her deeply, desperately, like he'd been starving for her all day. Are you hurt? Maya asked between kisses, her hands checking him for injuries. No. Victor's lips moved to her neck. But seeing that picture of you, knowing someone threatened you, it took everything in me not to tear this city apart brick by brick. What did you do? Made it very clear that you're under my protection. Victor's teeth grazed her pulse point. That anyone who touches you will pray for death long before I grant it. Maya should have been disturbed by the violence in his words. Instead, heat flooded her body. Victor's protectiveness awakened something primitive in her, something that revelled in being claimed by such a powerful man. I was worried about you. She breathed as Victor's hands slid under her shirt. Were you? He pulled back to look at her, his eyes dark with desire. Were you? Here thinking about me while I was gone? Yes. Show me. Victor's voice dropped to a command that made Maya's toes curl. Show me how much you missed me. Maya pulled him into another searing kiss. They came together on his desk with desperate urgency, all the fear and tension of the day transforming into passion. Victor whispered her name like a prayer, his hands worshipping every inch of her skin, and Maya held nothing back, showing him without words how completely he'd captured her heart. Afterward, they lay tangled together on the leather couch in Victor's office. Maya traced the new bruises blooming across his knuckles. Victor played with her hair, wrapping the strands around his fingers. I'm changing things, Victor said quietly, getting out of the dangerous parts of the business. It'll take time, but I'm done living this way, done putting you at risk because of my choices. Maya's breath caught. You mean that? You make me want to be better, Maya. Make me believe I can be more than what my father made me." Victor tilted her chin up, his expression serious. "I'm not good. I've done terrible things. But with you, I want to try being the man you see when you look at me." Tears blurred Maya's vision. "I love you." The words fell between them like stones into still water, sending ripples through everything. Victor went completely still. His eyes searched her face with an intensity that stole her breath. "Say it again," he demanded. "I love you, Victor Kim." Maya cupped his face in her hands. "I love your strength and your scars. I love how you try so hard to be cold, but you're actually the warmest person I know. I love waking up in your arms and falling asleep to your heartbeat. I love you." Victor crushed his lips to hers in a kiss that tasted like desperation and wonder. When he finally pulled back, his eyes shimmered with something that looked suspiciously like tears. "I've never said those words to anyone," Victor admitted roughly. "Never felt them. Never believed I could. But Maya, I love you so completely, it terrifies me. You've become my entire world, and I don't know how to protect something I need this much. You don't have to protect me from everything." Maya kissed his jaw, his cheek, his lips. "Just love me. That's all I need." Victor held her impossibly closer. "I can do that. I can love you every day for the rest of our lives." The next 2 weeks felt like living in a dream. Victor kept his promise about staying close. Maya practically moved into his office, sitting on his couch reading while he worked. He'd look up randomly just to smile at her, like he still couldn't believe she was real. They cooked together in his massive kitchen, Victor surprisingly skilled with a knife, despite claiming he'd never cooked for anyone before. He made her traditional Korean dishes his mother taught him as a child, before she left. Maya taught him how to make Jamaican curry, laughing when he added too much Scotch bonnet pepper and had to gulp down milk. Every meal ended the same way, with Victor pulling Maya into his lap, kissing her until they forgot about the food entirely, and carrying her upstairs where they'd show each other exactly how much they'd fallen in love. Victor introduced her to his legitimate business partners as the woman I'm going to marry. Maya's heart soared every time. He bought her clothes, jewellery, anything she glanced at for more than 2 seconds. When Maya protested the extravagance, Victor simply said, "Let me spoil you. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. Let me use it to make you happy." At night, wrapped in Victor's arms in his enormous bed, Maya felt safer than she'd ever felt anywhere. Victor would trace patterns on her skin and whisper promises about their future. A real home, not a hideout. Maybe children someday, if Maya wanted. A life where they could walk outside without fear. "I never imagined feeling this way," Victor admitted one night, his lips brushing her temple. "Never thought I'd have someone to come home to, someone who sees all of me and doesn't run." "I'll never run," Maya promised. "You're stuck with me." "Good." Victor's arms tightened possessively, "because I'm never letting you go." But happiness in Victor's world never lasted long. On the 15th day, Maya woke to an empty bed. She found a note on Victor's pillow in his sharp handwriting. "Emergency meeting. Derek's outside your door. Stay inside. I love you. Back soon." Maya smiled at the "I love you" scrawled across the paper. Victor said it constantly now, like making up for all the years he'd never spoken those words. She showered and dressed, humming the song her mother used to sing. Derek knocked as she finished breakfast. "Miss Chen, there's a flower delivery for you at the gate." Maya's stomach dropped. Victor didn't order flowers. "I know. That's why I'm checking with you first." They stared at each other. Maya's hands trembled as she followed Derek to the security monitors. On the screen, a delivery man held a massive bouquet of red roses. He smiled at the camera and held up a card. Derek zoomed in. Maya's blood turned to ice. The card read, "Tell Victor I'm waiting for both of you in New York. Come alone or she dies screaming. You have 24 hours. Raymond." The trap was set, and Raymond Shaw had just forced their hand. Victor's rage was a living thing when he burst through the mansion doors. "Where is she?" His voice echoed through the marble halls like thunder. Blood still stained his shirt from the emergency meeting that had been nothing but a distraction. A perfectly timed distraction while Raymond's men took Maya. Derek met him in the foyer, his face grim. "They grabbed her 20 minutes ago. Professional job, 3 vehicles, changed cars twice. We lost them in downtown Miami." Victor's fist slammed into the wall hard enough to crack the plaster. Pain radiated through his knuckles, but he welcomed it. Anything was better than the terror. Clawing at his chest, Maya was gone. In Raymond Shaw's hands, because Victor had been arrogant enough to think he'd neutralized the threat. He left this. Derek handed over a phone. The screen showed a video. Victor's hands shook as he pressed play. Maya sat bound to a chair in what looked like an abandoned warehouse, her eyes wide but defiant. No tears, no begging. Even captured and terrified, she held her head high. Raymond's voice came from off-camera. "Hello, Victor. I believe I have something you value. Come to the Red Hook warehouse in New York by midnight tomorrow. Come alone. No weapons, no backup. Or I'll send her back to you in pieces." The video ended with Raymond's hand stroking Maya's hair. Victor watched her flinch from the touch, and something murderous rose in his chest. "We can have 50 men ready in 3 hours, Derek said. "Full tactical team. We storm the location and extract her." "No." Victor's voice came out deadly calm. "He'll kill her the moment he sees an army approaching. This is personal between Raymond and me. It always has been. Boss, walking in there alone is suicide. Then I die." Victor met Derek's eyes without hesitation. "But Maya lives. That's all that matters." Derek studied him for a long moment. "You really love her." "More than my own life." Victor headed for the stairs. "Get me a car and a driver. I leave for New York in 1 hour. Victor." Derek's voice stopped him. "Shaw won't let either of you walk out of there alive." "I know." Victor's jaw clenched. "But I'll make sure Maya does. Even if I have to die buying her that chance." The drive to New York took 19 hours with minimal stops. Victor sat in the back of the armoured car, his mind running through every possible scenario. Raymond Shaw was his father's oldest enemy, a rivalry Victor inherited when he took over the business. For 20 years they'd circled each other like wolves, each waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Raymond had finally found Victor's weakness, and he'd use it to destroy him. Victor's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number, another video. This time Maya sat in different clothes, proof of life from earlier today. Raymond's face appeared on screen, his cruel smile making Victor's blood boil. "Getting close, Victor." "I hope so. Your pretty little housekeeper and I are having such interesting conversations. She really loves you, you know. Keep saying you'll come for her. Such faith, such trust." Raymond laughed. "I almost feel bad about what I'm going to do to both of you." The video cut off. Victor hurled the phone against the car door. His driver didn't even flinch. "Sir, we're 2 hours from Red Hook." Victor nodded. 2 hours until he walked into certain death. 2 hours to figure out how to save the only person who'd ever made his life worth living. He thought about Maya's smile, her laugh, the way she hummed while making coffee, the way she looked at him like he was worth saving, the way she whispered, "I love you," against his skin in the darkness. Every memory felt precious and painful, knowing he might never make new ones. But if his death bought Maya's freedom, Victor would pay that price gladly. The Red Hook warehouse loomed against the New York night sky like a rotting corpse. Victor approached alone as instructed, his hands empty and visible. The massive metal door stood open, spilling dim light across broken concrete. Victor's heart hammered against his ribs. Every instinct screamed trap, but Maya was inside. So Victor walked through the door into the lion's den. The warehouse stretched vast and empty, except for construction equipment gathering rust. Overhead, lights flickered. Water dripped somewhere in the darkness, and in the centre of the space, tied to a metal chair, sat Maya. Relief and rage hit Victor simultaneously. She was alive, bruised but breathing. Her eyes met his across the distance and widened with horror. "No!" Maya shouted. "Victor, run! It's a trap." "I know, love." Victor walked toward her steadily. "But I'm not leaving without you." "How touching." Raymond Shaw emerged from the shadows with 6 armed men. He was older than Victor by 15 years, his face weathered by violence and time. The great Victor Kim, brought to his knees by a woman. "Your father would be ashamed." "My father was a monster." Victor stopped 10 feet from Maya, his eyes never leaving Raymond. "And you're worse." Raymond smiled coldly. "Perhaps. But I'm the monster who wins tonight." He gestured to his men. "Take him." 4 men rushed Victor. He'd expected this. He was outnumbered and unarmed, but Victor had spent his entire life learning to fight. The first man went down with a crushed windpipe. The second took an elbow to the temple. Victor moved like water, brutal and efficient, using their weapons against them. But even Victor couldn't fight 6 men forever. A gun butt cracked against his skull. Stars exploded across his vision. Hands grabbed him, forcing him to his knees, facing Maya. Blood dripped from Victor's split lip onto the concrete. "Victor!" Maya struggled against her restraints, tears finally streaming down her face. "Don't cry, love." Victor's voice came out rough. "Everything's going to be okay." "Liar." Raymond pressed a gun to the back of Victor's head. "Nothing's going to be okay ever again. I'm going to kill you slowly, Victor, and your woman gets to watch every second. Then I'll kill her too, just to erase you completely from this world." Victor's mind raced. He needed a miracle, needed an opening, needed something to shift the odds. Maya provided it. She'd been working at her restraints while everyone focused on Victor. The rope finally gave way. Maya exploded from the chair, grabbing a length of metal pipe from nearby construction debris. She swung it like a baseball bat, connecting with the nearest guard's head with a sickening crack. The distraction was all Victor needed. He twisted, grabbing Raymond's gun hand. And redirecting the shot into another guard, Victor surged to his feet, his elbow catching Raymond's jaw. The older man stumbled back. Chaos erupted. Victor fought 3 men while Maya held off 2 more with her pipe. She moved with surprising skill, her smaller size making her quick and unpredictable. Pride swelled in Victor's chest even as he fought for their lives. "Behind you!" Maya screamed. Victor spun. A guard had his gun raised, finger on the trigger. Time slowed. Victor saw the shot coming, saw it aimed at Maya's heart. Without thinking, he threw himself in front of her. The bullet tore through his left side. Pain exploded white-hot and blinding. Victor crashed to the ground but rolled, his leg sweeping out to knock the shooter down. Maya was there instantly, bringing her pipe down on the man's skull. "Victor!" She dropped beside him, her hands pressing against his bleeding wound. "No, no, no. You're okay. You're going to be okay." "Get out of here!" Victor gasped, blood soaked through his shirt. "Run, Maya. Please." "Not without you." Her voice broke. "Never without you." Raymond's laugh echoed through the warehouse. He stood with his gun raised, flanked by his last 2 men. How sweet. Die together, then. Victor tried to stand, but his body wouldn't cooperate. Too much blood loss. Too much damage. He'd failed. Failed to save Maya. Failed to protect the woman he loved more than life itself. Then sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Derek appeared in the doorway with a dozen armed men. Victor had messaged him the location before entering, a backup plan he'd hoped not to need. FBI, drop your weapons! Raymond's face twisted with rage. He aimed at Maya one final time. If I can't have my revenge, no one gets a happy ending. Victor found strength he didn't know he possessed. He lunged upward, tackling Raymond as the gun fired. They hit the ground hard. Victor's hands found Raymond's throat and squeezed. All the rage, all the fear, all the desperate love poured into his grip. Raymond's eyes bulged. His hands clawed at Victor's face. But Victor didn't let go. Couldn't let go. This monster had threatened Maya, had hurt her, had tried to destroy the only good thing in Victor's dark life. Victor, stop. Maya's hands pulled at his shoulders. He's done. It's over. Come back to me. Her voice cut through the red haze. Victor released Raymond's unconscious form and collapsed. Maya caught him, cradling his head in her lap. Her tears fell on his face like rain. You saved me, Victor whispered, his hand reaching up to touch her cheek. You're my everything. You saved me long before tonight, Maya. Saved me from being empty, from being alone, from being the monster everyone thought I was. Don't you dare say goodbye. Maya pressed her forehead to his. Don't you dare leave me, Victor Kim. I love you too much. We're supposed to have forever, remember? Forever, Victor echoed, his vision blurred at the edges, but he forced himself to stay conscious, to memorize this moment. Maya's face above his, her love shining through her tears, the feeling of being held by someone who truly knew him and loved him anyway. Paramedics rushed in. They loaded Victor onto a stretcher, but he refused to release Maya's hand. She climbed into the ambulance with him, still gripping tight. Don't let go, Victor pleaded as darkness crept in. Never, Maya promised fiercely. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. Those words followed Victor into unconsciousness, a lifeline pulling him back from the edge. He'd walked into hell for her, and somehow, miraculously, they'd both walked out alive. The Los Angeles sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson as Maya stepped onto the balcony of their new home. 3 months had passed since that terrible night in New York. 3 months of Victor recovering from his gunshot wound while Maya never left his side. 3 months of watching him systematically dismantle his criminal empire, selling off the dangerous pieces and transforming what remained into legitimate businesses. 3 months of falling even deeper in love with the man who'd taken a bullet for her without hesitation. There you are. Victor's arms wrapped around her waist from behind, pulling her back against his chest. He was fully healed now, strong and solid, though a new scar marked his side as a permanent reminder. I've been looking for you. Maya leaned into his warmth, watching the Pacific Ocean stretch endlessly before them. Their new house perched on the cliffs overlooking the water, modern and beautiful, but somehow still feeling like home, like the fresh start they both desperately needed. Just thinking, Maya said softly. About what? Victor's lips brushed her temple. About how 3 months ago I thought I'd lost you, how I watched you bleeding on that warehouse floor and couldn't imagine a world without you in it. Maya turned in his arms to face him, and now we're here, safe, free, together. Victor's dark eyes softened in a way they only did for her. We almost didn't make it, but we did. Maya traced the line of his jaw. We survived, Victor, and now we get to actually live. Live. Victor repeated the word like testing its flavour. I spent 32 years just existing, going through motions, building power I didn't even want. And then a brave, beautiful woman saved my life and showed me what living actually means. Heat bloomed in Maya's chest. Even after all this time, Victor's words still made her heart race. What does it mean? It means waking up next to you every morning. Victor's hand slid down to her hips. It means hearing you hum while making coffee. It means building something real instead of dangerous. It means having someone worth protecting instead of just surviving. Maya rose on her toes to kiss him. Victor met her halfway, his lips warm and familiar. The kiss started gentle, but quickly deepened, passion igniting between them like it always did. Victor's hands tightened on her waist, pulling her impossibly closer. "I love you." Maya breathed against his mouth. "I love you more." Victor kissed along her jaw. "More than I thought possible to love anyone. More than everything." A timer chimed from inside the house. Victor groaned. "Dinner? I completely forgot I was cooking." Maya laughed. "Go. I'll be right behind you." But Victor didn't move. He studied her face with an intensity that made Maya's breath catch. "Actually, dinner can wait. There's something I need to do first." Before Maya could ask what, Victor dropped to one knee. Time stopped. The sunset, the ocean, the entire world faded until only Victor existed, kneeling before her with his hand reaching into his pocket. Maya's heart hammered so hard she thought it might burst from her chest. "Maya Chen," Victor's voice roughened with emotion. "3 months ago, you saved my life for the second time. The first was when you pulled me from that VIP room, but the real saving happened before that. It happened every time you looked at me like I was worth something, every time you challenged me to be better, every time you showed me that love wasn't weakness, but the greatest strength of all." Tears blurred Maya's vision. Victor pulled out a ring that caught the dying sunlight. The band was white gold, delicate but strong, with a single perfect diamond surrounded by smaller stones that sparkled like stars. "I designed this myself," Victor continued, "because nothing ready-made was good enough for you. The diamond represents you, bright and unbreakable, and precious beyond measure. The smaller stones are every moment we've shared, every kiss, every laugh, every time you made my cold heart remember how to feel." Maya's tears spilled over. Her hands trembled as Victor held the ring between them. "I'm not proposing because you saved me," Victor said firmly. "I'm proposing because you gave me a reason to live, because you're my home, my peace, my everything, because I want to spend every day of forever showing you how completely you've captured my heart." Victor's own eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Maya, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life loving you the way you deserve?" "Yes." The word came out choked with emotion. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." Victor slid the ring onto her finger with shaking hands. Then he stood and lifted Maya clear off the ground, spinning her as they both laughed and cried. When he finally set her down, his kiss tasted like salt and joy and infinite promise. "When?" Maya asked when they finally broke apart. "When can we get married?" Victor smiled, that rare, beautiful smile that transformed his whole face. "How about next month? Small ceremony, just us and the people who matter most." "Perfect!" Maya kissed him again. "Absolutely perfect." They forgot about dinner entirely. Victor carried Maya inside to their bedroom, showing her without words just how much her yes meant to him. They made love with the sunset painting their skin gold, their bodies moving together in perfect rhythm, Victor whispering promises against Maya's skin that made her heart soar. The next month passed in a blur of planning. Maya chose a simple white dress that hugged her curves and flowed like water. Victor arranged for the ceremony on a private beach at sunset, just like where he'd proposed. Derek would stand as his best man. Maya's mother flew in from Jamaica, crying happy tears as she hugged the daughter she'd thought lost to America. On the wedding day, Maya stood in the beach house getting ready while her mother fussed with her hair. Through the window, she could see Victor pacing on the sand in his charcoal suit, looking devastatingly handsome and impossibly nervous. "He's a good man," her mother said in her lilting accent. "I see how he looks at you, baby girl, like you hung the moon and stars." "He saved me too, Mama." Maya touched the ring on her finger. "We saved each other." The ceremony was small and perfect. Only Derek, Maya's mother, and 3 of Victor's most trusted employees attended. The officiant spoke about love conquering darkness, about 2 souls finding each other against impossible odds. Maya barely heard the words. She was too focused on Victor's face, on the love and awe shining in his eyes as he watched her walk toward him across the sand. When it came time for vows, Victor took Maya's hands in his. "I've done terrible things in my life," he said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "I've been cold and cruel and empty, but you saw past all of that to the man I could be. You didn't just save my life, Maya. You gave me a life worth saving. I promise to love you fiercely and completely every single day, to protect you, cherish you, and choose you over everything else. You are my home, my heart, my forever." Maya's tears flowed freely as she spoke her own vows. "You showed me that loving someone doesn't make you weak. It makes you brave enough to be vulnerable, strong enough to be soft. I promise to stand beside you through everything, to challenge you when you need it, and support you always. You are my protector, my partner, my perfect match. I choose you, Victor Kim, today and every day for the rest of our lives." The officiant pronounced them husband and wife. Victor pulled Maya into his arms and kissed her like they were the only 2 people in the world. Their small audience cheered, the sunset blazed behind them, and Maya felt complete in a way she'd never imagined possible. The reception was dinner at their favourite restaurant overlooking the ocean, but Victor and Maya barely lasted through the meal. They kept stealing glances, touching hands, counting the minutes until they could be alone. Finally, they returned to their home as the moon rose over the Pacific. Victor carried Maya over the threshold, kicking the door closed behind them. He set her down gently in their bedroom, his eyes dark with desire and love. "Mrs. Kim," he said, testing the name. "My wife. My husband." Maya pulled him close. "My Victor." They undressed each other slowly, savouring every moment. Victor worshipped Maya's body with his hands and lips, taking his time, making her feel cherished and desired. Maya traced Victor's scars, new and old, reminders of the life he'd left behind for her. When they finally came together, it felt different than before, sacred, complete. 2 becoming one in the most intimate way possible. Victor held Maya's gaze as they moved, his hand intertwined with hers, their wedding rings catching the moonlight. "I love you," Victor whispered, his forehead pressed to hers. "Forever, Maya. I'm yours forever. Forever." Maya agreed, her voice breaking with emotion. "My cold Mafia king, who turned out to have the warmest heart." Victor smiled against her lips. "My brave housekeeper who refused to let me hide." Later, wrapped in each other's arms with the sound of waves crashing outside, they talked about their future, the legitimate businesses Victor was building, the charity Maya wanted to start, helping immigrants like herself find their footing in America. Maybe children someday, if they were blessed, a life full of simple, beautiful moments. "I never thought I could have this," Victor admitted in the darkness. "A wife, a home, peace. I thought I was too damaged, too far gone." "We were both broken," Maya said, "but we healed each other. That's what real love does." Victor pulled her closer, his lips brushing her forehead. Thank you for saving me, for seeing me, for loving me despite everything I was. Thank you for letting me. Maya kissed his chest, right over his heart, for choosing to be better, for giving us this beautiful life. They fell asleep, tangled together, two souls who'd found each other in the darkness and built something bright. The cold Mafia king who learned that love was the ultimate power, the humble housekeeper who discovered her own strength, together, forever, completely and perfectly whole. Did Victor and Maya's love story capture your heart? Drop a like if you believe in second chances and epic romance. Comment below which moment made you feel the most emotions. Was it the warehouse rescue, the proposal, their wedding night? And subscribe for more intense, passionate love stories that will keep you glued to your screen. What kind of romance should I tell next? Let me know.